Gamebreaker TV.
What is up, GuildCast peeps? It is GuildCast episode 33 for July 25th, 2012. You're watching Gamebreaker, and I'm Gary again, and today ArenaNet answers your questions. GuildCast answers your questions. No one answers my questions. All that and more, but first, the one, the only, Mr. Scott Hawks. How are you, sir?
I'm not answering that.
And thank you. That's kind of what I expected. And from Massive.com, it's Richie Procopio. How are you, sir?
I'm doing awesome. How are you?
Oh, he answered that.
Oh, well, you said we would. So
And not on the show this week is Elizabeth. She's taking the week off, so she's not answering that. She'll be back next week. Don't worry. I know all you Elizabeth fans don't tune out. It's a good show.
No jazz hands.
No jazz hands. All right, guys, so breaking news just a few hours before the show went live. Of course, we got the news from ArenaNet that they've got a stress test August 2nd, which if you're watching this live, it's tomorrow. 12 o'clock Pacific, running for 4 hours. That's until 4. 12 to 4 tomorrow. So if you're watching this on the download, you probably missed it. Sorry. I guess. Sorry. All right, 1, 2, 3. Happy face. Kind of a little unexpected stress test. Can't wait to get into it. All right, good little fix for 4 hours. Gonna be.
Yep.
Yeah.
Where's the? I don't have the official. Oh, the official. Here it is actually. So the official Facebook post says we will be conducting a stress test on Thursday, August 2nd, from noon Pacific to 4. Unlike previous stress tests, we will be actively working on the game during the event. So you might experience connectivity problems or discover features that are not working as desired. Any issues you experience are a result of the rigorous conditions of the stress test and are in no way representative of the state of the game at launch. By participating in the stress test, you're helping us make Guild Wars 2 better, yada, 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 yada. Thank you, Ruby. But basically, yes, so expect to have a few more issues than we have seen in prior betas, and don't freak out. I know it's in all the internet's genes, with every, just it's in your DNA. You just can't wait to freak out. Don't freak out.
That's right.
I can just waiting for somebody to be at the last step of a jumping puzzle and it crashes. And there will be anger and much words and expletives flown around, and that's it. I'm not buying this game. Oh, I've already bought it. Tough luck.
I'm not I quit. The game is gonna crash when it launches, and I just lost my last jumping puzzle. Stay calm.
That's right. I'm out.
Stay calm, internet. Stay calm. All right, so let's talk a little bit. This week, content designer Mike Z. I'm going with Mike Z because I don't want to butcher his name. Answered a ton of questions to the community on Kotaku this week. So first up, Mike said, all dungeons are designed for 5 players. They are what we call mini dungeons that you can find out in the world that we spawn with harder monsters that sometimes require larger groups. Have any of you guys seen or heard or experienced any of these mini dungeons just spawning out in the wild?
I know of one. I haven't run it myself because I was too busy making Guardians, testing different professions. It's Flame Temple Tombs is one, and like some others, you have to complete meta events around them to make them spawn or big bosses to come along. And yes, that's as far as I know.
Am I right in thinking that this is like some sort of mini event that just happens in a cave or something like that?
Well, it's actually I haven't done it myself, but I spoke to Elizabeth about it. There's actually a large chain of meta events, like Scott was saying, to actually unlock this. It's actually a large series, and if you keep succeeding, you actually unlock this area. And they're pretty involved. I think just calling them a mini dungeon is almost a disservice because they're actually pretty complex. There's traps, there's puzzles to figure out. Like you have to go underwater, and the one that Scott's talking about, you have to go underwater in one section and pull a chain to unlock a door, and then you need a sword that opens up another door. And there's a lot of different things to do in these dungeons. That
what's like the time frame on those? Like how long does it take to? This actually sounds really super cool.
Yeah, I watched a YouTube video of a run. It probably was about 40 minutes long, and that's not even really including like the meta chain events beforehand. So it's pretty involved.
Now, do you have to do the meta chain events and then finish it all the way through, or is it something you can like do in sections and then like, hey, I got to go run and take my dog out, and then I can come back and finish it, or how does that work?
If the Flame Legion kind of like takes over that part again, you have to kind of start the chain of events again. It'll actually be closed off to you until you kind of work your way through those events again.
This actually sounds really cool. I mean, could this be like the Guild Wars 2 version of like camping? It'd be like camping for a rare spawn.
I can see a lot of people specifically going out to do the different events to make those happen, which I think is cool. It's a way of making sure, again, that the area is a bit more vibrant. So you might happen upon it just being there when you go past, when it wasn't there before, or you can go out with your friends and say, I want to go and run through that. I haven't done that yet. Let's go and do the other events to make sure we tee that off. So yeah, it's content.
And actually, the other thing that's really cool about this is that like with Guild Wars 2 theory about everyone is rewarded for their contribution. I mean, this open world style dungeon really makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, that's what makes this amazing. You just mentioned camping for that rare spawn or whatever, and that's like a nightmare in those games like EverQuest because it's like people stealing your kills after you worked so hard to get there and stayed up all night and you had to call all your friends to get everyone there. But this is great. Everyone gets to do it at the same time. Everyone gets rewarded. It's not a competition. You work together. So it is kind of cool. The only thing that I would say that is potentially a little odd is if you get there when it's already kind of halfway done and this is your first time experiencing it, or if you're in this big group and you're kind of like at the back half of it. They might go all the way down and figure out a trap or a puzzle or something, and by the time you get there, it's already kind of done. You're trying to play catch up a lot, so that can kind of happen. But overall, I think it's a great thing to have in the game. It's more content. It's kind of different than what we've seen before. And
yeah, I guess there's no way around that, though. I mean, the good thing is, I guess if you want to restrain and you can back off and go to it later. And I'm sure that I would assume, I shouldn't say I'm sure, but I should assume that the reward contributions are going to be in line and different for the amount of the content that you run through. It's not like you're just going to like show up at the end and just be like, full gold loot. Oh my god.
I don't know. I mean, if you can get to the boss, you can get to the boss, but there's traps and stuff there. So through the rooms, in that one. So if they're going to be there probably still, so you're still going to have to negotiate that sort of stuff no matter whether you start when perhaps some of the mobs have been killed already or not. So you're going to experience some of it at least. And the other alternative is if you're going to make sure that you experience all of it at any time you go there, is instancing. And I like this open world. Again, I'm going to say EverQuest because I like open world dungeons, like stuff that's just around and things happen. Except in this case, you haven't got 500 people training 2,000 mobs and everybody screaming, "Run away!"
Train!
Train! Exactly. And as I said, spawn camping and boss tagging and killing and all the rest of it. So yeah, best of both worlds. There you go.
Yeah. So next up, Mike had this to say. He said, once the game ships, our job is actually just beginning. We will have a team dedicated to updating the game and adding content, both PvE and PvP, to the game and continue to support the fan base. Right now, I know for sure 3 maps will be in at launch. But the plan is definitely to add more. So, I mean, I'm sure that most of the people watching this show are well aware. We've kind of beat this down episode after episode of, but actually I shouldn't even say that. Actually, I should be fair that we get the question quite often when we ask for viewer questions of people sort of saying, "Hey, there's no sub fee. Is ArenaNet really going to support this? Is there going to be content after the launch? Are they just going to let it die?" And I mean, for people outside of this realm, I think this is a really important message that ArenaNet has to get out to the public so they really understand, because of this new model. It's like this. It's not a new model, but it is for something I think of an MMO of this scope.
I think especially when you look at some, say, devs, even quite recently, have said that, well, we have a subscription model, which means we're able to produce ongoing content that free-to-play games just can't do.
You've seen that not be true.
Yeah, hey Sweater, how you doing? So yeah, certain devs have said that before. That gives them an advantage when actually, just because it's a free-to-play model, if you've got a good revenue stream, it doesn't matter whether it's a monthly subscription, as long as it's generating enough income, and you've got a good enough team working with good enough tools, you can have ongoing content. And this looks like, from what we've seen with the end-game events and just the way they've talked about the size of the team working in the live event team, that we're going to have content aplenty to look forward to.
As long as everybody breaks out those credit cards and buys gems, baby. Buy your gems!
Yeah, absolutely. We need the gem.
They had a live team, a very active live team in Guild Wars 1 who spawned a lot of the holiday events and put in additional content for Guild Wars Beyond. And so, those folks who've been playing Guild Wars 1 certainly know that the ArenaNet does put out free content updates for their free non-subscription game. So, but it's a question that a lot of people will have on their minds, especially there's going to be a large influx of people from other MMOs who aren't used to this kind of model, and it's definitely a fair question. And I think the proof will be in the pudding once the game launches and they see what comes out of ArenaNet after launch.
I just had an amazing idea. I'm full of them. I know. I know it's hard to believe that I didn't have. How awesome would it be for ArenaNet? We start doing commercials for in-game items for ArenaNet. I'll do like infomercials. This week only! Get in right now! Buy your gems! Get these cool Ray-Bans! Woo, woo, woo! Time is running out!
The Ganon stylized aviators.
Hey, man,
you can get them from only 350 gems right now.
They already...
Buy!
There they are.
I have no shame, man. I will hawk gems, in-game items, dyes, ArenaNet, whatever you want me to sell. I can sell, baby. Got thousands of people. They're ready to buy. Right? Chat room? Oh, you're listening? Sorry. What?
They already think ArenaNet pays us, right?
Sure. Make it a reality.
They do think that, yeah. I just image of you doing the gems version of the Sham Wow. I think it'd be fantastic. That's what
the slap chop. I just like... It slices and dices. You can wear them as a headset. You can wear it as goggles. It's $9.95. Buy your gems now. Only this week in Guild Wars 2. Hurry up. Put the code in GBTV now and get a 10% off. Time is running out. I'm telling you, man. Look at people. The chat room is like, where? What? Is the launcher up? Can I buy? What?
You can buy specific emotes. You can have like the dubstep Elizabeth emote.
Oh my god.
That'd be awesome.
That'd be fantastic.
There's an idea.
Gamebreaker cloak. You can buy the Gamebreaker cloak.
Idea has merit.
We would give all the money to charity. I'm lying. But it is going to be interesting. I think after Guild Wars 2 launches, though, some of the news we saw about Star Wars: The Old Republic this week going free to play, that was one, I think, the last biggies that we, all kind of knew that we're going to do a subscription fee. I think a post launch is definitely going to be a lot of people going like, why am I paying subscription fees? Back to Mike's quote here, though, really quick. One thing were we all thinking that there were going to be 4 maps at launch? Do you think he's just?
Yes.
Yeah, I think he's just being maybe a little cautious here.
I hope so, because that 4th map sounds great. It's the pirates and underwater and all that was mentioned before, and I was really looking forward to seeing that one at launch, to be honest. So hopefully just being cautious, but to be honest, the wording, it sounds like that might not be ready for launch now.
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily count it out yet. If you read through the entire interview, he uses key cautionary words a lot. Like "I believe" is thrown out there a lot. Like he doesn't want to mess anything up. So I think he's being cautious here. And they might still have the 4th one in there. They might not. Either way, it shouldn't be long after launch that they would be able to produce it. If not, because we know they've been working on it.
All right, next up, Mike said this. He said, the personal story will go all the way to 80 at launch. We were closing it at level 20 just for the beta event. I didn't actually realize this. I mean, did you guys know this? I mean, I've actually been kind of staying away from it in beta for some extent because I was holding off because I'm just holding off for launch. Did we know this?
Yeah, we knew that they were stopping the personal stories at 20. I haven't actually gotten to the level 20 personal story in any of my characters, but yeah, it's kind of crazy when you think about it. We've seen 20 levels of personal story, and there's 80 for every one of the the races, and the different combinations that you have based on the decisions you make. When you're creating your character, it's just unbelievable how many different ways there are to play the game, and how much content there's going to be at launch.
I'm looking forward to seeing what's going to happen to your personal town area by the time you've completed that. How different it's going to be. What sort of variations there's going to be in like the characters and just how it looks, perhaps by the time you've finished. That's what I'm looking forward to. There's also other things like that, the priory and things like that you can get into and all that sort of fun stuff. So yeah, I mean, there's so many different streams of content to take you through the game. I'm looking forward to seeing where it goes.
Oh, as is everyone else, Mr. Guardian. As is everyone else.
I've played other tunes, honest.
Once?
Here and there.
Hey, everybody, really quickly, I want to tell you guys about a great deal we got going on with Netflix. Michael, rate what you've seen so far so we can reveal suggestions for you. Because Michael was watching Futurama on Netflix. If you go over to netflix.com/GamebreakerTV, you can sign up for a free, yes, I said free, 30-day trial for their streaming service. Do it. Do it now. Do it. Do it now. Go over to netflix.com/GamebreakerTV. Sign up for the 30-day trial. I know you're going to love it. I'm sure they got Terminator, Total Recall. Maybe.
Jamie. Captain America's on as of this week as well.
Oh, nice.
Captain America, I crush him like a little bug in the ground. He's little bug. Don't even F with the Terminator.
That's your Arnold impression? I thought that was your Athene impression.
You didn't know they were one and the same? They do it for science. Arnold and Athene are one, the greatest paladin ever. Arnold Schwarzenegger. Go over to netflix.com/GamebreakerTV. Sign up for the free 30-day trial for science. Bill Burr, let it go.
Please.
Hot fluffy. Cat Williams is the man. That's all I gotta say. Check it out. I got nothing else. At least I gave you an Arnold/Athene impression to go over to netflix.com/GamebreakerTV. It's kind of worth it, right? I mean, I tried.
Definitely.
What? I dance like a monkey. I only ask for a couple things. I say, hey, go over and do this. I'll dance like a monkey. You guys, hey, go click on a banner. Hey, that's what we do. We need to make some money. We got to keep these trains rolling here. These lights are expensive. You know how much the power these things are pulling? Electric bill alone is like $8,000 in this basement. All right.
I don't even know how to go on from now.
All right, next up, Mike said, with transmutation stones, if there's a particular weapon or skin that you like, you can transfer it between items. That way, if you find a particular look that you really enjoy, it's something that you can maintain for as long as you want. Now, I haven't actually paid a ton of attention to how the transmutation stones work. Who wants to give me a rundown exactly how these things work?
Right. You have a transmutation stone and you click on it, and it gives you 2 boxes. And you drag one item into each box, and it gives you the visual and the stats of each item. You click on the visual that you want, and then the stats that you want, and it makes a new item. So it looks the way you want with this of the one item, but with stats of the other. People who've done transmogging, WoW, kind of know that sort of thing. So yeah, you sort of get 2 items, make them into one the way you look, but with the stats that you want.
I mean, the good thing about this as well, it makes it definitely much different. Is like, you know, once I mean, you're going to be replacing gear so often while you're leveling and your stats are improving. I mean, I guess does it make a ton of sense to buy these before end game, before a max level?
You can, because this. I mean, you can get cool gear at, like, sort of your racial stuff, the stuff from certain, that you can buy, losing my mind. So like, even from like level 35, if you really wanted to, you could get that stuff early, buy it. You don't have to wear it, transmog it, and looking like that even earlier. We mentioned this the other week. So if you really wanted to, you could have all of your stuff look like that all the way through, if you're that inclined.
Yeah, I even saw in the last beta weekend, I saw like a level 14 guy running around. He had this huge, really awesome looking greatsword. And I was like, how did you do that? He's like, oh, I just got far enough in my personal story, and this was one of the rewards. So, I mean, the look of that sword in particular, I would definitely transmute, future swords into that. It looked awesome. And he was like level 14. So, yeah, I think you could use them earlier.
I mean, it's gonna cost you. I mean, I guess it'll cost you. Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, it costs you a bit of money to kind of do that, like with have different sets and stuff like that. But I mean, the game is free to play, so I guess so. All right, cool.
You can earn them in game as well.
Oh,
if you get 100% like map completion, they give you a bunch of rewards and stuff like that. They give you some green items, some gold and stuff. But almost every one that I've seen, I haven't done it myself, but they're rewarding transmutation stones with each map completion.
That's really interesting. Okay. Sounds good. I like it. I'll spend money. All right, next up, Mike said this. With the ability to dodge roll and evading incoming attacks, you can prevent a lot of the damage that a tank would normally soak. By allowing everyone to heal and support each other through skill combos and taking aggro, we've created a much more active combat system. I'm really enjoying the new system. I think everybody kind of agrees. Anybody disagree and think the new combat system sucks?
Me, it's rubbish. Can't stand it. No, I want to go back to the days where I hit a button and I know that mob's not going to move from me.
I mean,
no, I don't need to.
Slash sarcasm.
I prefer it. Yes, slash sarcasm. No, look, I've got nothing against the Holy Trinity. I like the Holy Trinity, but acting like that's the only way to have a game set up, to have your combat function. The Holy Trinity, it's a good way to balance combat when you know exactly the functions that the mob's going to have to do. It's not going to run in there after the healer if you've got anything like competent, things like that, and you can balance your combat around that. But this is different, and I like different. It's a nice change, isn't it?
The internet hates different. No, we love it. All right, so next up, Mike said this is the PvP servers aren't tied to a specific world. So from the lobby, you can actually get teamed up or against players from other worlds. Now, Richie, I mean, we've kind of hemmed and hawed about this, and this is like, say, we see the same debate in every single game, right? I mean, it's like, this is awesome for queue times, less so much for community. But do you think that's kind of negated by the fact that, like, with the ArenaNet's philosophy of hiding player names in PvP, is this really to kind of make less of an impact on the community?
Well, I think part of the reason why they're doing this right off the bat is with the whole guesting system, where you can just go to other people's servers anyway and hang out with them, probably group up with them, and then join PvP from there. So from that sense, it was never going to be truly server-only, queues. So this is just, like you said, there's no perfect way to kind of do this. You either gotta, yeah, sure, PvP is really great when you have a short queue time and you go in and you're playing against people on your own server. You can kind of establish those rivalries, and it's like, oh, I hate playing against that guy. But, long term, down the road, a couple months down the road, you don't want to have to wait 20 or 30 minutes, for a queue pop. And so it's probably just better overall to just start off out the gate like this. Make sure that the queue times are quick, get people in there and having fun. And like you said, in the world versus world, the other team members are anonymous in that. So it's probably more about building a community on your own server rather than against your opponents.
And it's like, it's going to be an ongoing debate, right? And there's really, I don't think there's any perfect answer here, and there's no perfect way to do this. There's plus and minuses to both sides of it. I'm more of a fan of this, to be honest, because it seems like every game starts out with this, like, oh, wouldn't it be great if we could build community? And it just never works. I mean, it's just a matter of, like, you're just prolonging a few months before they flip it on, All right, now it's cross-server. First, here's the finder. Okay, now it's cross-server. It happens every time. So what's the point? Just cut to the chase and do it.
Right.
It starts off right. We're going to have community, and now you're waiting 45 minutes and you're bored. We're going to have a server, but we're going to prioritize people on your server. Oh, but your server's low pop, so we're going to have you do it in. Oh, hey, you can play lots now, but don't worry about the community thing, 'cause it doesn't matter as much. Yeah, it's nice when you can have that kind of rivalry going on. But I think if you want that rivalry, the rivalry between servers, I think, is what's meant to take that bit of animosity that you can enjoy for you in WVW. So yeah,
it's that coupled with, I think, all the great leaderboards and stuff they're gonna have, where you're just gonna like, instead of hating like servers or something, or players on your server, you're just gonna PvPers are just gonna be looking at other players on that type of stuff and be like unstructured and like, I want to get there, I want to get there, I want to get to number one. And it's like, I don't know. I think it's a win-win. All right, moving on. What? Nah, no problem.
Yeah, it's no problem.
All right, moving on. Mike said this. He said, you have a chance of getting items of your level when you're playing lower level content. We didn't want the game to completely penalize players for exploring or helping friends who were not as far along. He says, I believe the level adjustment system also scales. I love how he says, I believe. I believe the level adjustment system also scales the rewards of the events so that you are still progressing your character, even if you're a level 30 character in a level 10 area. I mean, I knew about the down leveling mechanic, but did you guys realize that you pretty much continue to progress as normal?
Well, it's not quite as normal. It's, as far as I understand it, you will still get like experience if you're a level 40 in a level 10 zone or whatever, but it won't be quite as much as you would be if you were in your own zone. So it does still say you can go and play with your friends, and it'll still be worthwhile to you doing so, but it's not going to be quite the level of experience and progress that you would make if you were in your own zone. So it stops people just down ranking all the way through their leveling process. With that much ease. So yeah, you can still do it, but it's not quite as spot on as being in a level appropriate area. But it's great that you can get gear, certainly, drop for you when you're doing that.
I guess it doesn't have to be so heavy-handed of exactly the same amount of experience. I think what the whole point of this is, right, Richie, is like you grab a buddy jumps in lower level than you, or somebody new starts playing. A lot of other games, you're just like, all right, well, I'll talk to you on Vent, but you can level up for the next week and try and catch up to me. And I might take Tuesday and Thursday off, so you better get on there those days when I'm not playing, so you can catch up to my level, and then we can play together. At least this is a little bit enough of an incentive to get you and just be like, oh yeah, I'll come run with you. Cool, no problem. Especially, not good, but especially, I just thought of this, especially if they're another race and they're in a different area.
Right.
That's awesome.
Yeah. This might be my favorite thing about Guild Wars 2, just how easy it is to jump into, to play with somebody else. And sure, you could do this in other games, but like you said, you kind of feel like you're almost wasting time, and the other person feels like, oh, they're just carrying me through everything. They don't really want to be here. To make it challenging and fun and rewarding. No matter what level you are, no matter what continent, it's just a great mechanic. I'm really looking forward to just being able to jump in and play with whoever and not feel like, oh, I got to wait for my friend there, or I got to create a separate character that we only play together. Like, don't play that character without me. That's our that's our leveling character. I mean, it's nonsense, and we
try all these different like workarounds and like fixes with friends, and it never works. It never really works. I made a separate character. You do that for a couple weeks, and it doesn't happen. The other thing I always do, I'll run with somebody, and this is what I do. I just go, well, I'll do resources. I'll find mats. I'll grab herbalism or something and pick flowers while you're killing mobs. And like, it's not that cool.
And, if you make an ult to play with a friend, there's a reason you hadn't already made that ult. It's probably a class that you didn't want to play in the first place. So you end up playing something you don't really want to play, especially if you've been playing the game a while and a friend comes along like quite a bit after a game's launch. You end up playing something, all right, I'll make this for you. And then you've got to synchronize your watches. Right, you're going to be here at this time, so I can't play that one until you come on at this time. So I better go and play a different tune until then, because then I'll be ahead of you on level, and then we can't do anything together anymore. And that's just gone. That's not a problem.
Yeah, I love this system. Even if it's not exactly to the T, like progression. at your optimal level, even if it's a little bit. I think this is so much better. I think it's gonna be so much better for the community too. Like you fall in and out of people, and just like it'll create tighter knit groups when you jump on Vent. And there's just maybe there's that newer person to the guild or something that you don't really know that much. They just kind of came in. You won't feel so bad. It'd be just like, hey, what are you doing? Let's go run something together instead of just doing solo stuff. So.
And it also decreases the amount of areas you're going to see with very low populations in a few months' time, because then it's not a problem going back into those areas because you're down ranked, and you might just want to go along just to see, or you're going along to play with a friend, and like in other games, right? I'm level 85. That's level 10. I'm not going there again. So those places turn into wastelands within like 3 months, and that isn't as big an issue.
It keeps all the dungeons fresh too. I mean, sure, you have a level up dungeon, the Ascalon Catacombs at level 30 or 35, but it's still relevant, when you're level 40, 50, 60, 70, and if they come out later, a couple months down the road and say, hey, here's a level 15 dungeon we're introducing, you can still go in and they'll still be challenging for you then too. So it just, the benefits continue to add up the more and more you think about it.
Finally, Mike said, we've been doing a ton of internal company-wide tests here daily on the content not seen by the players. We will do our best to give you guys the best possible experience at launch. In the case where a game-breaking bug is discovered, we can roll out a patch in short order. It's not our goal to bug fix on the fly, but we do have a versatile development system that will allow us to address things that come up. I think this, along with Endgame, is going to be probably some of the biggest concerns at launch right now. How polished is the rest of the game? And I think we're gonna see a little bit of this probably happen tomorrow as well, right? It kind of from their statement on Facebook about the stress test, it almost sounds like they might be putting this like on the fly system kind of a little bit more to its test of just kind of pushing things out really quickly.
Yeah, that's the way it's looking.
Yeah, this approach is, it's a little bit of a gamble to keep so much of the game back. And, we just hope that, that they make good on it. And they do have great internal testing. I like this approach if they pull it off. I like that a lot of the game is still going to be fresh to us and new to us. You have the WoW approach where they just give you the whole beta, and, you could see the whole thing pretty much by the end of it. And that's one way to do it, and that's a great way to get a lot of crowdsourcing for your testing and stuff like that. But I like this approach if it pays off, but it is a little bit risky.
Well, the way it's happened in other MMOs is at launch, they've launched the game, and then hope that people don't level quick enough to hit the content that hasn't been fully tested yet, and that they can get that stuff fixed in the period between, and that hasn't gone very well. No. But very well at all. When people find out there's no endgame in games that actually need endgame. But
see, I don't know if devs are. I think I'm going to disagree with you there, because I think devs are fully well aware how fast a certain segment of the community actually will blaze through their content.
Oh, yeah.
It's just that they can't do anything. They just the higher ups are like,
this needs to go out now.
This is 1% of the people are going to do this.
Yeah.
80% are going to do this. It has to go out. We know it's not right, but you've got X number of weeks to fix that before the majority of players actually do it. So I'm taking one for the devs. I'm taking one for the devs.
Sorry, devs. I was blanket labeling. The devs get pushed under the bus too often. It's very true. But in this case, I think the Azure and Sylvari zones work pretty bloody well, and they weren't mass tested up until last BWE. So hopefully the rest of the game's in as good shape. But we'll find out soon enough.
We will. Arnold's back! Arnold's back to ask for donations now! Man, he's like just bleeding you like a stone. Oh, what's that? Bleeding you like a stone? What doesn't make sense?
I have no idea what you're doing.
I was going to ask for donations for Gamebreaker, because it's another way that we keep running the site. But for some reason, I said I was bleeding you like a stone, which makes no sense. I think the correct reference is you can't get blood from a stone.
It's like trying to get blood from a stone, yeah.
You know what?
Please donate to Gamebreaker. Gary needs help. He needs help getting blood out of his stone. It's very painful.
Oh my god. All right, next up. Gamebreaker's very own Mike Shaffnett The last BWE did a bunch of recording. He went into Ascalon Catacombs for a series called Breaking the Trinity. If you're not aware, so basically, well, first of all, there's a ton of other there's a ton of other Guild Wars 2 content on Gamebreaker TV. If you guys haven't seen it, besides GuildCast and of course BuildCast, our new PvP show. But this may be, I don't know, this may be an ongoing series that Shaftnet may do. But basically, he wanted to put the Holy Trinity to the test. So and I know there's a lot of, I'm going to preface it by saying, there's a lot of other builds you could do here. You could throw all mages together. You could throw a bunch of healers together, right? But he threw a bunch of DPS together. Let's take a look.
Hey everybody, Mike Shaftnet here for Gamebreaker TV. Most of you have heard by now how ArenaNet is claiming that the Holy Trinity is dead in Guild Wars 2. For those of you who maybe don't know, the Holy Trinity is a concept that a group needs a tank, healer, and DPS to run a raid, dungeon, and good PvP group. That's where ArenaNet is trying to do something different with Guild Wars 2. They say that you don't need a tank to be the one that absorbs the damage or a healer to keep your group alive. So I grabbed some friends and decided to put their idea to the test. The challenge is simple. Successfully run Ascalon Catacombs with 5 DPS spec characters. All players are free to choose any profession, weapon, and skills. But the traits that they choose have to reflect a DPS-centric build. Healing isn't off limits, we just can't be spec'd into a heavy healing build. Now for most of us, this is our first time running Ascalon Catacombs. We have no idea what to expect. If any group is gonna struggle, it's gonna be a bunch of undergeared DPS. So this first area is starting off pretty smooth. Click a coffin, clear the trash that spawns. Simple stuff. I think we just made a big mistake. Everybody just started clicking coffins and spawned a whole mess of ads, as well as it looks like a boss. So this isn't the best way to start off a dungeon run. And everyone has tunnel vision. Everybody's too busy either DPSing or dodging. All right, so it wasn't easy, but we did take him down. And that actually felt kind of good. Let's move on. Whoa, I'm down again? That was fast. I'm starting to realize I definitely have a gear issue. The mob's damage output is just catching me off guard. Oh, look at that. Now someone's trying to help me get up. We might still be in this if I can just go revive my teammates. I'm down again. I just want a tank. So after dying 2 more times, we do clear this room. Now, even though I might be dying a lot, we are actually getting through it. This boss encounter just locked us into this room. I think that means we're not going to be able to take advantage of the graveyard, so we'll just have to stay focused. This seems simple enough. Don't stand in red circles. Dodge or projectiles. I've seen lore on Tank Spot. I know what I'm doing. And now I got an ad on my face. I need to get this off. I hate you! Missed. Heal. All right, this isn't easy, but we're getting through it. There we go. We kind of got a rhythm going now. The team is keeping each other alive, and she's down. Okay, so not the easiest dungeon run, but definitely doable. It seems ArenaNet have broken the Trinity. It wasn't easy for 5 DPS, but it was actually quite rewarding. If you work together as a team, you can definitely clear Ascalon Catacombs with a full group of DPS. Thanks for watching. Make sure to keep an eye out for more Breaking the Trinity videos. See you guys next time.
All right, so first of all, Shafted just sucks, doesn't he? He's really bad. Can we all agree?
He needs a tank for the traps he's standing on.
Yeah, can we agree? No, but I think what he wanted to do here was he wanted to prove, like, and of course, there's other modes to the dungeons, things like that. It's a low level mid dungeon. You could roll with different groups like that, and that may be something that he might do in the future, is to set up a few different group scenarios of different builds and things like that. But it was just sort of the first one. But it was more of just a test to see if you could actually do it. Take 5 DPS, throw them in there, and see if you can actually clear it, and they can clear it. So.
It's could you say there's fire? It's just every class can be DPS or whatever, and everybody has to take care of their own health, and you can't really heal someone to the degree that you're just going to be keeping them up. You're able to heal through all the damage. You're able to give them boons and give them that additional heal to give them time maybe to survive to get through to their next heal that might be on cooldown or something like that. And essentially it's just, instead of having separated roles, you all have the roles and you're simply taking care of the damage and the crowd control and the pouring out the damage between each other. So it's this team effort to take care of everything. It's about moving into position to take the threat if you need to, maybe, because if it's a boss that's down to proximity, it's just it's much more active. It's everybody's ongoing. So
I think
it's built so that should work. So it's nice to see it in action. Definitely.
How do you think, Richie, for a second? The one thing is, I know a lot of people might be skeptical out there, just as far as hey, it's you could have done it. It wasn't done on a harder explorable mode. It was a low level dungeon, things like that. It was a beta weekend. Like you can't level to max level and go run a max level dungeon. He's doing what he can. He leveled to 30 over the weekend to go through that. But what do you guys think about in terms of do you foresee this holding up throughout the entire scope of the game, and even do you think we're gonna see the same results at end game?
Well, what I don't think you're going to be able to do is just throw together 5 people with the most glass cannon DPS specs you can and see much success. Not to say it'll be impossible, but that's certainly not going to be the ideal way to do it. You're going to want people to have diversified builds, some of them to be a little bit more support focused, some a little bit more defensive focused and stuff like that. The real design here is not necessarily that every single combination of builds is going to work, but that you don't have to sit around waiting for someone who plays a class that can be a tank, because they can all be a little bit more defensive, or you don't have to sit some of your friends out to pull people in you don't like because they play a healer, or things like that. You should be able to go in with any combination of professions, however, because people can spec their characters different ways. So the glass cannon theory may not necessarily hold up, but you certainly don't have to wait around for the right mix of professions.
Yeah, and I think what the takeaway from this video is, any combination to some extent you're just not sure if that's the right combination. I think what he wanted to express was just that it could have been a mixture of just any of them, or what if it was just a bunch of all the same spec characters, so now you sort of feel gimped on some of the other roles like that. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's gonna be interesting to see how it plays out later in game. I don't know. It'd be kind of cool to run a dungeon with just hordes of pets and minions as your cannon fodder, just 5 necros just decked out. Who knows? All right, let's do some viewer. What's up?
Oh, sorry, I just noticed in chat somebody saying that how can you do anything challenging without having the Trinity? It's just a Zerg fest, and it might look like that because you haven't got those roles. You haven't got the he stands there, he stands there, he stands there obviousness, the sort of neon flashing signs, I'm doing this, that you get in most raids and dungeons. But you all have to basically interact with each other and have teamwork and know what you're doing. Not in some of the earlier stuff, but later on as it gets challenging, I'm sure you're just going to have to do everything better.
Do it better. 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 All right, let's do some viewer questions and get to going. We love the viewer video questions. So if you have a video question, post it up to YouTube, keep it about 30 seconds, and send it to submit@gamebreaker.tv. That is submit@gamebreaker.tv. And if it's good, we'll play it on the show. And we have a video question, and this one is in from Sabina. Sabina.
Hi, my name is Sabina. I'm 9 years old and I'm a gamer. Back when I was 6 or 7,
Teaching her young. 9 years old. She's an MMO.
She's awesome.
And I have a little tear in my eye right now.
My name is Sabina. I'm 9 years old and I'm a gamer. Back when I was 6 or 7, Reese Sosby said how Surrey used names like Viv of Universal Necrotics or Lear of Hypothetical Industries. But you can't make those names with just 19 characters. Do you think there's any chance that ArenaNet will change how many letters Azura can use in their names?
Good question. Look at her pulling out the old quotes from ArenaNet devs.
She's dropping names.
Yeah, she's got names. She's got research. She's got.
I was out with Reese Sosby the other night. We were chatting about the state of lore. You know, just thought I'd come and
so
ask
awesome.
you guys.
So,
Yeah,
so her question is, will they increase the amount of characters that you can use for a name? And that's actually really interesting. I didn't have that problem, so I didn't really think about what is the character limit.
19.
19. Do you think they'll increase it? Maybe now that Sabina's made a petition for it, possibly.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to increase it. I mean, it probably has more to do with database backend stuff than we would like to see. But if you get creative, Sabina, you do like a 2-character first name, something like Zoe, and then you could fit in something like Zoe the Alchemagical. If you get creative, you could fit some things in there. You might not be able to do those really long titles, but your Asura is going to be awesome. I just know it.
Richie's next character, Zoe what did you say? The Alchemelico?
Alchemagical.
Alchemagical.
That's right.
There's Sabina the Awesome. There you go. Sorted.
Scott, the British derp.
Thanks.
Oh, sorry.
Thank you.
I was trying to figure out where to go. It's Scott.
Gary and your bloody stone.
It's Scott. Scott Hawks. You do a double name with a yell. All right. Next question from Doug Payne. Doug says, how many days do you think it will take for the first person to hit 80? I am going to go with -2 days. -2. So 2 days before launch, somebody will be 80.
I'm saying if it's the start is midnight Pacific, I'm saying lunchtime Sunday.
Really?
Yeah.
That quick?
Yeah. People, I can just see somebody just living like, Law and Mike B style and cranking through it.
I don't know. I think it's going to take at least 3 days. 3 days.
3 days?
Mm-hmm.
Is the Fiend going to make a run for it?
There's going to be streams all that weekend with people basically, crying blood.
Is he going to get his group together? Get like 9,000 paladins to tap all the mobs, and then he gets all the credit?
Can't do it this way, can you?
Yeah. No, might not. Hopefully there's no exploit here. Yeah, I'm gonna say about 3 days. 3 to 4 days, I think, is probably about. That's what I'm thinking.
I think somebody on Beta Weekend 2 actually did it. They hit 80, but they had Beta Weekend 1 and Beta Weekend 2. So, it's not going to take longer than 6 days. There's no way it'll take longer than that. So people will probably figure out a way to do it a little quicker than that. So I'll go with 3.
All right, this next one up from Ricky Villadson. Ricky asks, he says, I'd like to ask the GuildCast crew if they know or would be able to find out if a Guardian DPS, of course, the Guardian question. I'll throw this one to Scott, I guess. He could just answer this. I'd like to ask the GuildCast crew if they know or would be able to find out if a Guardian DPS would actually be able to do the same damage as other DPS classes. Thank you, Scott. I'll take my question off the air.
If I say yes, would that mean we'll get nerfed? Yeah, well, you can put it. The thing that the Guardian can do is perhaps say if you put it up against something like a warrior. So a warrior probably do burst DPS a little easier than Guardian, but a Guardian's survivability means he'll put out better steady DPS, perhaps long term than a warrior might. And you can, I mean, you can get some decent DPS out of Guardian. You just might have to work, especially after the nerf the spirit weapons a bit by the time of the next one, which they will.
Scott,
yeah.
it's not a nerf. The game's not out yet. It's not a nerf.
It's a nerf. Don't tell me it's not a nerf when you nerf Guardians. It's a nerf.
Reggie, what do you think?
I think at this point it's really difficult to see, to really judge the parity of damage between the classes. It's more going to be just a general feel, and unless you've really spent equal amount of time across them all, it's hard to judge. I think ArenaNet's goal is to make make a certain level of parity between all the professions, depending on what kind of spec you're building your character. So I would think that a Guardian would definitely be able to hold their own in DPS if it's spec that way versus another profession if it's spec that way. So sure.
It's a bloody nerf.
It's a bloody nerf. It is. Don't like it. No, not having it. If you put your burns, set fire to stuff. And so you could put your DPS over perhaps a little bit longer than some more bursty stuff, but you can do all right. But no, you can't really. We're really weak on DPS, and we just need to be kept as we are.
All right, next up from Suna O'Rock wants to know. Says, I want to know if there will be more customization options for your characters. In the betas, the options were very limited, resulting in a world filled with long lost twins. I was not happy. Did you guys find this? Because
not at all.
I'm a little, yeah. I mean, I found I kind of thought there was enough character customization, and then I assumed that the for clothing wise, I mean, the store is going to make up for that, right? To get the really cool.
Yeah, I think the character creator is off the hook. I think it's absolutely fantastic. And sure, maybe some of the armor skins that you were running into seemed a little bit the same in the beginning, but that's kind of what it's supposed to be. And I think as you get further and further into this game and people unlock all these different skins, start using their transmutation stones. I mean, Ed Park's got a great PvP video where he won a tournament. And he got a couple really cool looking stuff right out of that no one else is going to be sporting until they win a PvP tournament. You're going to have people making awesome crafting stuff. The legendary items, the dungeon token tiers, your racial sets, the customization is going to be crazy in this game, and people are going to look different.
I see darn it! I see a lot of people in the chat room talking about they wish that there were more hairstyles, but I'm kind of assume that that's like a perfect cosmetic item to sell in the shop, right? Like, is that? And I don't think it's terrible. If you want to buy cool haircuts, go to the barber shop and buy some haircuts. Like, they should. Sure. I think they should be able to sell it. They got to make some money. So
I can really see that coming down the tubes later on. But as it is, as Richie said, you start off with pretty identical looking gear because you're supposed to be encouraged to go and get better looking gear. So that's part of the reason things look alike. But I mean, like the Sylvari, you can do so much stuff with that. It's crazy. The Azure as well. There's a lot of wild differences between one end of the spectrum of the looks of Azure and the other end. There's cute and fun, and there's hideously ugly and creepy. So there's quite a bit of range. Maybe the humans might feel a little like that, but I really think if you play with it enough, you can get something pretty distinctive, especially once you can start changing your gear around.
All right, next up, this question in from Venka Hank. Venka says, do you think World PvE, not the dungeons, is going to be actually hard at some point? Well, that's not a loaded question. Go ahead, Richie.
Gosh, I hope so. And this is something I've expressed before, and Scott's, mirrored this. We really want there to be PvE dynamic events against big bosses that really take a coordinated group to actually take out. I'm not saying that there's nothing challenging right now. I've been playing these beta weekends and things are kicking my butt all over the place. I think there's a great deal of challenge there, but I think what they're kind of talking about is more that what are people going to do more towards the high level content, and I think events, if you look up videos kind of like to Quaddle the Sunless and see the coordination that it is going to take, many different people doing different things in that event to kind of take out a big world boss like that. But yeah, I really think they will. I just that's definitely been something I'm hoping for, is that coordinated group that you need to take out some of that content.
What do you think, Mr. Guardian, Nooft Guardian?
I think leave Guardians alone. No, I think it depends on what you're talking about. Challenging PvE content. If you're talking about just your general running around events on your own, leveling up, or with a few people, it does get more challenging. I mean, I know they've made it a lot easier those first few levels, and that might be what's skewing people's perspective on it. It certainly does get more challenging. You can get your backside smacked if you're not careful, just out in the open world, as you start to level up. If we're talking about, as Richie says, we're talking about more structured, the kind of things that you're going to need a guild for, I really hope so. Because, as I said before, I'm hoping that all the what we get at or emphasize that extra R, that's going to really give that difficult PvE structured. We're going to need to bring the army in, guys, sort of experience that will make a guild in PvE a little more necessary.
Here's an interesting idea. What do you guys think of this? What do you think of like some of the dynamic events? Let's say some huge crazy whatever blah 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 thing. Crazy tentacles and Yeti. No, what if you come up on this event, right? And you're with a group.
One.
No, but this would be actually kind of cool. Check this out. So, what do you think that they would make some of the encounters so super hard, and also with some sort of time limit? So then maybe the dragon flies away, and if you guys didn't do it, it's gone. And it's really hard, and you kind of have to coordinate and get groups together to come back and try and do this. I'd actually love stuff like that instead of just going to the event, getting it to that area around my level or something, and then pretty much being able to take this thing down, and then maybe never have to come back. Maybe I have to come back a couple days, this, that, and the other thing, and maybe it's really, really hard.
I mean, isn't that partly what the open world dungeons can fulfill that by? If you're not able to do it, the next part of the chain can be finished, and then that dungeon goes away for a while, and then you've got to go back and get back in there. So it's not just there all the time for you. It might be something that's going to do. But yeah, I love that idea of your sort of open world bosses are just going to fly up and say, "Aha, you cannot defeat me. I'm going to go away now and chill out in my nice pad."
Yeah, I like that a lot too. Rather than just waiting around forever for someone to kill them, that'll always just be there. No, put some immediacy into it, and make you all right, come on, we have to go now. Everyone get together, come on. And and failing a couple times is awesome, because you're like, you just really want to do it that much more the next time. So yeah, I like that idea. It's cool.
And that makes it, and again, that gives it a little extra emphasis for guild, saying, "Oh, I've got my guild, and that's great, because I can just put out a call to arms in my guild and say, guys, we need to be here now. Come on, let's go." And because we need to kill this quick. So yeah, that'd be good.
All right, next one up. This one from Matthew Whalen. Matthew says, he asks, when let's say the first big X pack. Wow, I love these questions. Already talking about expansions. When let's say the first big X pack hits, do you think we can expect more custom skill use and creativity, or perhaps reskin skills like ANET has done with past expansions?
Let's be clear here. When we dissect this question, there's only one Guild Wars 1 expansion. That was Eye of the North. The other ones were standalone campaigns. And so the reason why they had to reskin some of the skills was because they were standalone and did the level 1 to 20 experience again. So they actually, put out skills with the same names that did the same things before that reason, because people were going to be leveling up from 1 to 20, and that had to be able to support players who only bought that campaign. So I definitely think when they do an expansion for Guild Wars 2, you're not going to have that issue of reskinning abilities. They're going to come out with cool new things. I expect them to put in new weapons in the game for every profession, so that you will have new weapon skills, and plus they can always throw in utility skills, elite skills, and heal skills all the time. And I think they're going to be really custom and different, have a different feel than the other ones.
I can't. I'm. That's why we have them on the show. Smart.
Covered it.
Scott, you have anything
Sorted.
to add? I don't want to say anything. Nerf Guardians!
I'm scared too. Don't you... Oh.
All right, last up this week. Dean Winwood says, Gary, Did you know that humans in Tyria were brought there by the 6 gods from another world, henceforth making them aliens?